Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. In honor of Black Panther coming out this month, I decided to revisit another beloved Marvel Comics character, and that is Blade. Blade started in the 70s. He was an Englishman. He was a vampire hunter. He was in the Tomb of Dracula comics, and throughout the decades afterwards has gotten many renovations, many different incarnations of the character that end up being what we know of the character today. Of course, I was introduced to Blade in the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon series. Then I was too young to see the Wesley Snipes Blade, but upon my teen years, in the early 2000s, right around when Blade 2 came out, I got a chance to revisit the original. And yeah, Blade is an awesome film. It's funny because Wesley Snipes was almost Black Panther in the 90s, and they've been trying to have a Blade movie for quite a while. In the early 90s, they were considering LL Cool J to be the title role of Blade. Well, that didn't go through, and Wesley Snipes was more interested in the vampire hunter Blade than he was Black Panther, so he took it upon himself to be involved in Blade. Stephen Norrington directs this. You may know his film, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think he does a fine job here, and you also have David S. Goyer writing the screenplay. We have the current Marvel Cinematic Universe, but really, without Blade, we would have none of these films. I would argue even with Tim Burton's Batman, but Blade was like the first major like modern Marvel movie. It wasn't like the straight-to-video Captain America movie. It wasn't like the Incredible Hulk TV show. No, this was like the first modern wave of comic book films right before X-Men, Spider-Man, and what we know as today. Blade was fantastic, and it was rated R. Before Logan, before Deadpool, Blade had an R-rated comic book film. And it did it very well. There was no jokes. There was a serious story. And what makes Blade such a unique film, it's with vampires. He's a vampire hunter, but it's an action film. And take out the comic book element. If you don't know he's based on a comic book character, you can still get invested in this movie because it's a good old-fashioned revenge action film. And besides Wesley Snipes' Blade, you also have Chris Christopherson as Whistler, Stephen Dorff as Deacon Frost, along with Mbushi Wright as Karen and Donald Logue as Quinn, with Arlie Jover as Mercury. So it's a good cast, and Stephen Dorff really plays a great villain as Deacon Frost. It starts off when we see Blade's mother going into labor. She was attacked, and upon her being attacked by a vampire, her son Eric, which is known as Blade in this film, is born. But he has none of the weaknesses of vampires. He's half human, half vampire. And you find out that a vampire attacked his mother. That vampire is Deacon Frost. So Blade was born very unnatural. He has the superhuman qualities of a vampire with none of their weaknesses. He's known as a daywalker. He ends up meeting this man named Whistler, and it's Chris Christopherson. He's pretty much like a modern American Van Helsing. And together they hunt down vampires. So he's on Deacon Frost's trail. It has a brilliant opening with this nightclub, this bloodbath. Probably one of the best damn openings to a movie ever. And I have to say, Blade is a very well done comic book film and a well done film and origin film. It's one of the best origin films I have seen. And that opening sequence is just phenomenal, especially with the music. I just love it. Upon his trail, he goes after one of Deacon Frost's vampires, and he ends up arriving at a hospital. They think he's decomposed, he's still alive, and he attacks this doctor. She's kind of like along the ride with Blade. She's the audience's point of view, so we get to learn everything about Blade through her character. And he kind of feels bad. He knows he has to kill her if she fully turns to a vampire, but she believes there might be a cure. So she's dealing with that throughout the course of the film, but ultimately it's a revenge movie. He wants to get the vampire who killed his mother, Deacon Frost, and he's close to him. And Deacon Frost has ulterior motives here. He wants to get this vampire council together. There's this whole underworld, and that's what I love about Blade. There's this whole other dark, gritty underworld of the vampires beneath our real world. Blade says our real world's a sugar-coated topping to what really lies beneath, and that's the vampire underworld. I love it. You have to get 12 main members, and there's this blood called the La Magra blood god, and whoever gets the powers of that god rules the world. So Deacon Frost basically wants ultimate power. And he wasn't born a vampire, he was turned a vampire, so we get to see his motivations. He's an outsider in this vampire society. The cinematography is very well done. I love it. This is a hard-boiled action movie. Now, some of the effects are a bit dated, and that's too bad, but if you put yourself back to the late 90s, it wasn't that big budget type of movie. It didn't have the production value of, say, Jurassic Park or Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Blade was a very small movie, but it's so good, and we really get to see Wesley Snipes' martial arts skills here. There's action sequences that are amazing, whether it's when Whistler's attacked, him going after the vampires, that final fight, and that sword fight's very well done between Deacon Frost and Wesley Snipes. Oh my god. Blade and Deacon Frost's sword fight is amazing. And that line of, like, some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. I just love that. And it has an exciting ending. It leaves it open for another movie. But it's your basic revenge action movie, and it's very well done. Like I said in many other action reaction videos, it's great to have well choreographed set pieces, sequences. It's great to have some well done action, but it's even greater when you have a strong story to back it up, and Blade has an extremely strong story. There's even some twists here and there that you're not expecting the movie to go into, and they do. And it's just your perfect revenge film. I mean, it's almost like watching either the 1989 Batman or like RoboCop from 1987. It's like that type of movie where it's an origin film, yet a revenge movie for the hero to go after a villain. It is awesome. Stephen Dorff won Best Villain at the MTV Movie Awards, and yeah, he is probably the best villain out of the trilogy right now. Deacon Frost is just awesome. He based a lot of his performance off of Jack Nicholson. You can kind of tell in some parts. Wesley Snipes is very reserved. We get to see his physical side of it, but there's also a lot going on emotionally with the character of Blade. We get to feel his conflict and kind of like his frustration of being an outsider, of being something he hates in many ways. And he has to take a serum. He doesn't drink blood, so he gets his magical serum to basically feed his thirst. That's the only problem he deals with as a vampire. You have some weapons, his car, the music, just the different type of underworld nature, and it's just brutal. The action and vampirism in this is brutal. This isn't your Twilight vampires. No, these are real fucking vampires, and they're awesome. I mean, it is just one of the more well-done vampire films, and a well-done comic book adaptation. I feel without the success of Blade, we never would have had X-Men, we never would have had Spider-Man, and in return, we never would have had our current MCU without the success of this film. And it did fairly okay, but on home video and the new formatted DVD, it really flourished in the home video market. So I give Blade a 5 out of 5 and an A. It is a superb film and one of the better comic book adapted films. I love Blade. It's also one of the better vampire films. Just Wesley Snipes, Stephen Dorff, Chris Christopherson, the soundtrack, just everything about this movie is just so damn awesome, and I really don't have anything bad to say against it, other than like maybe the dated special effects. But there's just so many memorable moments, and then even the part where Whistler comes in to rescue Blade, and he's just like, catch you fuckers at a bad time. I just love that moment, the train sequence. So many great action set pieces and everything. It's just a highly entertaining film, and for an action movie, what more can you ask for? So yes, Blade, I give a 5 out of 5 and an A. If you haven't seen Blade, go ahead, check out Blade. If you have seen Blade, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. What's your favorite Blade film? I go between 1 and 2. They always alternate depending what mood I'm in, but I really love the first one. I think I still like the first one the best. And if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe for more videos. Stay tuned for the next action reaction in which I'll be going over Guillermo del Toro's interpretation of Blade with Blade 2.